Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of One Mic Night. It's season 5, and I'm back. And I want to thank everybody for being along with me on this journey. It's been a long, long ride, and I'm so happy. And I want to thank you for giving me 17 years of One Mic Night brand. Because as you know, we started out as an open mic in a little bitty restaurant on the east in the West Village of New York City, and we've gone to this. So hopefully, we're inspiring lives and getting some good conversations started and finding some results. So thank you. My guest today, I'm very, very excited. He is an entrepreneur. His background is in finance and tech, but today he's talking about a new organization that he has, and we're on the road to mental health. And as you know, on this show, we talk a lot about mental health, and I've made it my mission to help as many people as possible. So please stick around. You don't want to miss what's coming up. My guest today, his name is Ricardo Zulueta. So please welcome him to One Mic Night. How you doing, Ricardo?
Great, great. So glad to be here. Thanks, Marcos, for having me on here.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to be here. I know it's hard to get the schedules going, but we're doing it. It's season 5 for
Yes.
me, so I'm very, very excited for you to be my first guest.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Listen, I have questions. The first question, the first question is, who is Ricardo Zulueta?
Okay. Like he said, just have a serial entrepreneur as a background. Grew up with finance, like he said. But what we're going to be talking about today is mental health. And it's because of my affiliation with a nonprofit foundation for mental health, which is called Start Day One. And so I've been dealing with, just kind of doing a proactive approach to mental health and suicide prevention.
Love it. So where did you come from? Where did you grow up? What's your background?
Yeah, so I grew up actually in the Philippines, came here when I was about 10 years old. Um, Lived in New Jersey pretty much most of my life, went to college in Jersey also. So never really left Jersey. So I'm just Jersey bred, man. Um, let's see, it just kind of went to school Fairleigh Dickinson, did the finance thing. After that, I just got that, couldn't help myself looking into different things while I was in college, trying to start different businesses.
As we
You
all do.
know, yeah, what's that?
I said, as we all do.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying
And
to find your
to
way. Yeah, of
me, when I
course.
tell people what an entrepreneur is, it's just like it's really just uh, someone with a mission that's really just trying to solve a problem. So I'm always trying to end up trying to solve problems. But I'm always looking at big ones. You know? So I get caught in that. I'm always getting ideas and always executing on it, trying it out and stuff like that. And yeah, so as far as the start day one goes is I never really used to talk about it. I had a clothing line, or I have a clothing line. It's called Fuke Clothing, and that really got me talking to a lot of people. And obviously, it's about thinking positive and really, it's just a reminder to ourselves that to live life a little bit more instead of complaining about it. And the more and more I talk to people, about my brand, mental health would always, always come up, obviously, because it's a mindset thing. And when I started talking about it, obviously some people came with bigger stories. And that's when I mentioned to them, like, actually, I lost my brother to suicide. So, and this and that. And then, yeah, so I'm sure we'll be talking deeper about that in a little bit. So,
Yeah, let's actually I want to go there right now. And I mean
yeah,
necessarily with your brother, but I want to figure out how this all came about. So you have the brand, but
yeah,
the brand was a result of what? Like where did the brand start and how did you determine that that's what you wanted to do with the fuck it?
yeah.
What does it mean?
Yes. So, the mindset for that. So it's actually very similar to um what start day one. Actually, the best way, let me explain what start day one is, and then
Hmm.
it'll actually tell you how it evolved to start day one, or at least even starting this nonprofit. So when I lost my brother to suicide, that's when I learned that depression and anxiety, just like happiness, they're not the cause. They're actually just natural and temporary emotional responses based on our perspectives, not really our situations. That's why you have rock stars who are still committing suicide while the homeless are the ones struggling to stay alive. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Right,
Everyone knows to live life to the fullest. Who the fuck doesn't? Like, who doesn't?
right,
Everyone knows this, and the next generation will tell the next generation again and again, right?
right.
But we always continuously complain, even though you know this, you complain about Mondays, complain about the weather, traffic sucks. it's just really human nature to take life for granted. And every time I break it down, it always comes down to supply and demand every time. But anyway, sometimes we get inspired though, right? We
Right.
become hopeful when we hear a great story, or appreciate life more when someone passes away. Like, why does that happen, right?
Right.
But the thing is that sense of inspiration, it's actually very temporary. And you can have all the motivational quotes in the world, but they're actually meaningless unless you make a decision. The decision is a very important. And I came to that realization because of this brand. What I did was, even though it's pronounced fuck it, it reminds you to say fuck it more. Now, why do I want that? Because fuck it is a phrase that we only say only until after we've already made a decision, not
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
People always test me like, no, I say it all the time. All right, say it. Fuck it. About what, dude? About what? What?
Right. Right.
You say it. So now let's go to the reason why we say it. We say it basically to confirm to ourselves. You never say fuck it for someone. Like, fuck it. Like, you don't say it for someone. It's to yourself. It's something you tell to yourself to confirm that you're actually going to follow through and commit to the decision you just made. No one ever played poker and said, fuck it, I'm all in, and back out.
Right.
No one goes skydiving and says, fuck it, and then hold on. It
Right.
just doesn't happen, because the only reason it even came out because the decision was made. And so a
Right.
decision is very important. And so I actually reverse engineered everything.
It's actually an initiation word and a release word, because
Yes.
it's in
Yeah.
that moment you're saying, okay, I'm making this decision, I'm all in, and just everything just along the wayside. I don't care. So I
Yeah.
feel a
And
sense of, you know, relief.
yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't even want to say I don't care. I never like any kind of negative association with what you kind of like when people say like, yeah, yeah, fuck the world. Like, no, that's a negative mindset. That's a negative mindset. That's not going to bring you in a good place. All it is a commitment to a decision. That's what I tell people. Because once you say like, hey, you can't care what people think, like, come on, you can't care what people think. Does that really sound right?
Right.
Does it sound right at all? That's like a business going like, yeah, who cares what customers think? I don't know about that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Feedback is feedback. I'm probably going to do a lot of things that's entrepreneurial and also mental health and combine them. So in business world, um, any feedback is feedback, whether it's negative or positive. Now, as in a personal life, you should have to do the same. You know, when people yell at you, when people think of you this way, that's just feedback. You got to change something. You got to learn something. But it's all it is feedback. Whether it's even failure is feedback, right? That people are starting to learn that a lot more now. So that's all it is. So the problem, though, today, the reason I start getting more and deeper into mental health, when I talk to thousands of people like at events and stuff, but everyone's being taught to keep waiting for symptoms of depression or anxiety, and we're being told that people are depressed because they have depression, even though probably doesn't make any sense to anyone here when I say people are happy because they have happiness, right? Does not make any sense. And I'll get even deeper with that. I always like to explain so that people leave here understanding. So anyway, it's really impossible to prevent any problems without being proactive. Doesn't matter what the problem is. You can't prevent cavities if you don't proactively brush your teeth. You can't prevent diabetes if you do not proactively eat a healthy diet. So you can't solve any of those problems. And even more than that, you can't do that before you make a decision. It's after the decision's been made. So decision is very, very important. Being accountable and making decisions is the only way to find the solutions that really allow you to quit the job you hate, let go of past trauma, go on vacation, or start your own business. Those are all decisions that has to happen. So start day one, which is the nonprofit, for mental health and suicide prevention, we really just have a proactive approach to helping people instead of reactively waiting for symptoms of mental health issues or even suicidal tendencies. But that's what most professionals and organizations focus on, because that's what they're good at. They're good at reacting. And that's why you get drugs. That's why you do everything that you hear out there is mostly about reacting to symptoms rather than prevention of things. So that's where I really started diving in more.
So you're
Our
talking about like in terms of when people show symptoms of things
Yeah,
that will possibly happen or that are happening, you go right in. You want to go right in and like,
No. So,
or
so what I mean is to make it make more sense. Let's talk about cavities. Those are just symptoms that, you're about decaying, right? Um, you don't have cavities if you keep brushing your teeth, right? Should you stop or should you keep brushing? Are you gonna wait for symptoms of cavities when your teeth hurts? Then you go like, man, I should start brushing. It's starting to hurt. Proactive means you gotta just keep doing it, right? Same thing with exercise, or when let's go with diabetes. So it's very specific. Um, everyone knows it's a lot of sugar. Well, are you cutting down the sugar? Or are you going to wait until there's maybe symptoms like, hey, your blood sugar is getting high? Like, so why are you waiting? I don't, so to me, it makes zero sense to wait for symptoms all the time. We do things proactively all the time, teaching the kids. Do you teach the kids afterwards when they mess up, or do you try to teach them before they end up messing up? The whole thing is about prevention. Everything I discuss is
mm,
about prevention, and that's not being talked about enough. Everyone's always about reacting to when it's already there, right?
right. So
Not prevention.
I guess what I'm asking, so in terms of actual people,
Mhm.
where do we find these people that would be the proactive state that they're in? Obviously people know if you're depressed, you know they're depressed. But where do we find these people in that step of the process?
Oh, it's not so it's not finding the people. Being proactive is you always no one fixes you.
Mm,
You do it yourself. You're going to look for someone to inspire you. You have to do it yourself because the people that you look for, that's all they're trying to do anyways, to get you to do that. That's all they're trying to do. Therapists and friends, all they're trying to do is like, yo, you really need to make a decision to help yourself. Like until you do that, nothing's going to happen. And that's, it's a very strong thing. That's why I mentioned accountability before, because, we slowly start to get less accountable the more we learn about things. And that's what I'm trying to prevent, right? People are being told that they're not accountable for their issues or anything like that. And when you do that, what you're actually taking away is their hope. So I can tell you one quick story about, what Marcos is trying to get to, like, well, how do you get there, right? So it always say that it always starts with a decision. So let me tell you this story. I was at an event. I was talking to this lady. Actually, no. Actually, I was talking to a couple and talking about my brand, just selling my clothes, telling them it's all about the decision, blah, blah, blah. They leave. Some kid was actually listening in. He walks up to me and he's just like, hey, really love, what you're saying and stuff. That it's all about that making a decision, but it's not that easy. I told him, like, yeah, I never said it was easy. That's where it starts. He's like, yeah, but I'm in rehab now and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't matter. That's where it starts. Yeah, but da da da. And I'm just like, so he did that multiple times. I said, hey, guy, can you please stop saying but? It always starts with a decision. Now tell me why you can't do that. And I backed up. And he looks up in the like ceiling, like looking up like this. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, I didn't tell him to run a marathon, read a book. I just told him it just starts with a decision. And I'm like, what's the problem? Why can't you agree with that? So when I'm looking at him, I'm seeing like, oh, he's looking for more excuses. He goes,
yeah.
yeah, almost said but because I already told him, don't stop saying but, just tell me the reason. And he couldn't. He just stopped there looking up. I'm talking like 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait for your answer. All of a sudden he goes, you're right. You're right. I said, yeah, you're welcome. Like, of, of course. So here's a guy that went to rehab who hasn't even decided that he's going to get better. How do you think he's going to get better if he hasn't decided? Because he's making everyone else try to get him. Let's see if this place fixes me. Like, if you're already going in that mindset, you're not going to get better because
Right.
it's all up to you anyway. So, how did I learn that it was all about accountability? I go to another event. I start talking to this lady, told that same story, right? I'm thinking like this should help her understand that it starts with a decision, right? Nope. Left, pissed off, angry. And I went, that was weird. Didn't see that one coming, And I'm going, but why? So I get analytical because I need to figure out, because that was some kind of feedback there. And I'm like, that's odd. Why would someone be so angry when I told, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh, when I talk about accountability, as soon as people that are going through stuff agree with that, is as soon as they have to agree not to use their excuses anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they cannot, like, wait, you're telling me I can't blame my dad anymore? Nope. Nope. His fault. Even though it was 20 years ago, he's been gone that long and it's still his fault. It's still his fault. You're kicking your own ass. That's what's happening, right? But you're not keeping yourself accountable for it. So that's when I realized accountability was so important, because the common denominator for anyone that even gets any better or even stays depressed is because of that, right? It starts with a decision. From there it goes. That lady that got angry, I didn't tell her the solution, that it's the one. I just said that's where it starts. Guaranteed, all of them
Right.
started there. That's all I know. That's all you need to know in the beginning. And then from there, you keep learning. I don't know how long it's going to take you to get out of your depression. I don't know how long it's going to take you to change your perspective. No clue. But that's where it starts.
That's
Once you
where it
do that,
starts.
then
Yeah.
things come.
Yes. That's where the door opens. And then once you make the decision, you said it all. Once you make the decision and accountability for what's happened and yourself, and your mindset changes because
Oh,
you are the one that's in control of how you view things and how you receive things.
that's right. That's right. And always look at everyone from Anthony Robbins to every guru. Were they all happy in the beginning? And then they just kept being happy and happy and happy. And like, hey, let me talk to you guys about why the hell I'm so happy. No, they always had issues, right?
Right.
But how come they got out of it? How did they get out of it? In fact, I was talking to you about this. A lot of life coaches have issues and still have issues.
For
Still.
sure. For
But
sure.
but they're trying to figure out how to fix themselves. But I think that's a dangerous road when you still have issues, because it's like if you're an alcoholic trying to teach people not to be an alcoholic and you're still an alcoholic, not good. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But but I get, because they're trying to help. Because what it does is when you're trying to help people, it helps you, kind of thing, right?
Right.
Um, but that's a big problem. So, and again, we keep regurgitating all the wrong information. That's really what I'm trying to prevent. Is it's the mindset. It's your perspective on things. For example, I talked before about happiness being just like anxiety, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like, why are you comparing happiness and anxiety? Because they're both just emotions, all of them. How come we don't talk about anger? How come that's a negative thing that people can get? But you don't go like, man, my anger today kicking in. I'm getting angry. But people are so okay with saying like, man, my anxiety is high today. Like every other emotion, you can't use that. But for depression and anxiety, the money makers,
Hmm.
um, everyone seems to say that way, and it's fine. My anxieties is I need my pills because my anxiety, because my depression, but no one ever says my happiness. So happiness, they're just emotional responses. The key word is respond. The the thing is, what you have to figure out is what is it responding to and how are you responding to something, right?
Hmm.
But just overall perspective alone will help people. So once you know what happiness is and what these emotional responses are, it helps you learn. So, for example, people don't know this about happiness. Marcos, I'm going to ask you this very common question. Everyone knows the answer. Does money buy happiness?
No.
See, here's the thing. I believe it does. The perspective is wrong. What people are fucking up on, if you're telling me if I gave Marcos $1 million, this guy's not gonna be happy, I'm gonna be like, come on, oh, come on, not a smile, not a grin, nothing. It ain't gonna be
Um,
nothing. The problem is not that money buys happiness. That's a solid fact. It's gonna make you happy. The problem is you think happiness is permanent.
right. There's
That's
no
the problem. Not that
longevity.
money doesn't buy happiness. Money
Right.
absolutely
Of course,
buys
it makes
happiness.
you happy.
It's the same way as When someone passes away, just because you're happy, you're telling me you're not going to get depressed? Oh, you're going to get depressed, but it shouldn't stay that long. It never does unless you force it. All of a sudden, you're going to be happy about something. You have a newborn, you get married, your kids, whatever it is. But it's never always just one thing. Like you're never going to experience another emotion ever again. It's just a response to what's happening around you.
Right.
So it's that mindset, right? When people say like, "Oh, money doesn't buy happiness." Oh my God, Robin Williams. You just told me money doesn't buy happiness, but you are so surprised that someone with money committed suicide. Like, so there's lack of a consistency with the way we think about things. And so it messes people up. When one goes the other and based on your like feeling for the day, that's not going to help you. So all these different things that we're learning are wrong, everything about it. And so in the mental health space, it's like things are just not going correctly. And that's why for Start Day One, our mission is to inspire people to change their perspectives from waiting for one day to starting day one, because that means there's a day two, there's a day three. We don't get overwhelmed with our problems because, we have so much to do or change. We just don't know where to start, right? So one of the things is really exposing yourself to inspirational content, but they're meaningless unless you make a decision. So that's why it's Start Day One. We need to change people's perspectives because that is what influences our decisions. So I actually reverse engineer. If the decision is the most important thing, how do we get to the right ones, right? So let's reverse engineer that. Because when people hear, anyone that's listening, when you find yourself complaining or making excuse in like your pursuit of happiness, but for me, more fulfillment, it's not because it's impossible. You just haven't decided to do it yet. So that's what we're doing.
Talking about decision making. Yeah.
It always starts there.
What would be where are you at this point in the organization? Is it actually something that's happening? And
Yeah, it's a 501(c)(3). So
okay.
as far, being an entrepreneur and stuff, I don't get to do as much into it. What I really want to get there is get speakers to go out in schools. Because when do schools reach out for some kind of suicide prevention? After a suicide,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, great,
Always.
great prevention
Right.
tactic.
There becomes a huge surge in it,
Right,
Yeah.
especially
What
now
about
after the
before? What about
pandemic.
before it happens?
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing. When you look at suicide, right? It starts with the wrong perspective here. It ends with suicidal tendencies. Everything in between is just an evolution to suicide. So you got this mental health issues, and then they can become alcoholics, they can become drug addicts, they lose their jobs. It all starts with that. It's Monday sucks. And then it freaking gets worse. My dad's this and this and this, my life, and all of a sudden suicidal. Right? And all it is a shift in perspective. Ask anyone. I'm pretty sure Anthony Robbins didn't eat a book.
So I guess the question then becomes, it's not just one person, but how do we get this to the masses? Because it's the perspective of everyone that needs to be in the positive light, which would make you more functional.
Yeah, so that's why I have to do this kind of outreach, kind of be doing what we're doing now.
Right.
What Marcos is doing is one of the best ways of obviously prevention. It helps a bit, but the thing is that the type of information, right? No one's talking about what I'm talking about. So that's where it becomes like, I wish more people would talk this way. And the only way is like, all right, I'll get it started. I'll get it going.
Right.
But that's where it is, because the perspectives that everyone talk about are still reactive. Yoga is so good for you. You got to meditate. Yeah, that's already when you're messed up already. Like you already messed up.
Right.
Because I was telling Marcos yesterday, like how many like really happy people do you know that meditate every morning? That actually have to exercise every morning and like has some very hardcore religious type of routine. They don't need it. The ones that need it are the ones that need to do something about it. And usually it's a reaction to what they're doing. And when they don't do it, they're unhappy.
Right.
Why?
I didn't get my meditation in today. I didn't get my yoga in today.
Oh,
so they can't. It's
Right.
Yeah. When it's actually the mindset, like you mentioned before, and your perspective of life and what's happening, and everything you've said, taking accountability for the things that are happening and figuring out how you can make it, better for
Right.
yourself, or whatever better is for yourself.
Right. And for everyone to understand, I talked to Marcos about this. It's all right to be depressed.
It
So when I
is.
say it's your perspectives, our perspectives are always shifting. And the thing is, again, reverse engineer. What shifts these perspectives? Negatively, trauma. Positively, inspiration. So that means if you need to balance that out and you're feeling like really bad today, you need some inspiration. Now, what is inspiration? A lot of people don't know the difference between inspiration and motivation. Very important to know this shit because when you motivate in the wrong time, it doesn't work. For example, Marcos just broke up with a girl. Marcos, who cares? Come on, let's go out. Let's do this. Let's go have fun. Fuck her. Let's do this. He's gonna go, no, no, no. Yeah, nah, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I just need some time. I just need some time to process. Right?
Right.
But I'm trying to motivate you too early. I didn't shift your perspective yet. So motivation comes after the decision. Once Marco said, like, all right, I'll go. That's when I can go. All right, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna talk to some girls. We're gonna do this. Get you a great girl. Then we motivate after Marcos has made a decision. But before the decision, there has to be inspiration because before the decision is perspectives, right? I have to shift your perspective with what? Inspiration.
Inspiration. Yeah.
The difference between inspiration, another difference is that motivation is very direct. It's not implied at all. Motivate, motivate. Inspiration is more exposure to it. It's more indirect. Like you see a movie that's relatable to you, and then you go, man, that's me. Or you see someone um, on just outside helping someone. It inspires you to be a little bit better, but you were just exposed to it. No one said like, "Yo, watch this." That's more like it's a trying to motivate you.
Right.
It's
It's a
still
personal
annoying when
thing.
someone
It's
says,
your,
"Watch
yeah.
this,"
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But when you just happen to watch it, so that's why you have to actually expose yourself to inspiration. Keep your mind open so that you get inspired. The people that stay depressed, is they close themselves to any kind of inspiration. Like, no, I got to prove that I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm depressed, because if I don't have depression, then how am I depressed? That's weird. So it's got to be because I have depression. And it's just like, yeah, that's weird because that's just the result, not the cause. So we
Right.
really have to
And it
look.
doesn't mean that you, like you said, it doesn't mean that you can't have sadness for a while or you can't have these other emotions, but it's also changing the way you're viewing what's happening.
When people get sad and depressed, you're supposed to.
Right.
So another thing you need to learn about these emotional states, they're all future based. When I say that, what I mean is what makes you happy is not necessarily what happened in the past. Yeah, you can dwell on some things makes you happy, but it's more about what's happening in the future. So, for example, same thing with depression, anxiety, all this stuff. When you're anxious, right? Here's an example. There's this guy I was talking to, like, what you talking about? Like, what do you mean? I take pills, like, I get anxiety, and I'm like, all right, buddy, let's talk. What gets you anxious? Like, what makes you anxious? He goes, when I'm driving a car. I was like, a lot of people here drive
Yeah.
cars, buddy, but what's making you anxious is what I want to know. I don't know. When I get in a car, I feel like I'm either gonna hurt people or hurt myself when I'm driving. We're getting somewhere. Let me get this straight. When you go behind the wheel, your perspective is that you're probably gonna hurt someone or hurt yourself. That would make anyone anxious. Doesn't matter who the hell you
Of
are.
course. Yeah.
And so he goes and sits there and goes, you're right. Again, I was like, you're welcome. Like, yeah. So you got to look for the cause, what's causing you. So you need to change your perspective on being behind the wheel. When your perspective is this helps me, to get income to go to work so that I can provide for my family, that shit
Yeah.
disappears.
Definitely should.
you you know? So
It's
like
stopping your
you don't have to do that.
functionality. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always there. So my thing is like this, right? So the decisions here, motivations afterwards, perspective is here, and then before that is inspiration. But when I say inspiration, right, or the perspectives, you have to know perspective is looking at one way, right? That's perspective.
Mhm.
How do you know which way is the right way? Purpose is very important. If you don't have purpose, you don't know if it's going to be a threat or a benefit to that purpose.
Mm.
We have different purposes. It's not just one major, you can have one general purpose, but typically a purpose as a dad. What's your purpose there? What's your purpose as a coworker, as a CEO? So a purpose is very important. Why? It's because it's what guides us. It's what lets us know. It's hard to know why if you don't know why you're doing things. Um, it's that sense of feeling when you're lost. So this is what I tell people, just to help people understand that are watching or listening. If anyone here is feeling lost, I gotta ask you a question. When you're lost in your car driving somewhere, what do you do? Marcos, I'll ask you. What do you do when you get lost in a car?
You look for direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look for directions. What else? Do you just keep on driving? You just cruising on a
I
highway?
listen, you're asking the wrong person because I just keep driving, but
Right. Well, well, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? But a lot of times, let's say when you're
yeah,
neighborhood, I guess, on the highway, it's a little hard to just go skirt. But anyway, we try to figure out,
try to figure it out.
hey,
Yeah.
where are we going?
Right.
Right? That's my first question to people. When they say they're lost, I say, well, where the fuck you going?
Right.
And they're gonna go, uh, if you don't have an answer to that, then it's like you'll always be wrong. So you don't know where you're going? Again, that's very feature based, right? So anyway, when we're in a car, what we tend to do is try to look for the directions. Today, in today's world, people will say like, yeah, look at my GPS. Better be a destination on that shit.
Destination is the key. Right. Yeah.
That doesn't work without a destination.
Right.
What left, right? You turn, what? So once you know where you're trying to go, sometimes you need to pull over. If you don't have your phone, what do we do? Ask for
Ask. Yeah.
directions, ask for
Ask
help,
for help. There you
right?
go.
If
Yeah.
you don't know where to go. So it's like, yo, Marcos, I don't know where to be. I don't know where I'm going. But until you know where you're going, Marcos can't help me at all. Has no clue how to help me because I
Right.
do not have a destination. But once you figure that out, even just slightly towards, maybe in the beginning, but it's better when you know exactly because the GPS doesn't work with a maybe. Oh, I'm going west. So, okay, I guess I'll see you later. Go west. So anyway, just to let people realize. So whenever you feel lost, pretend you're in the car. You got to do these things. So what happens all of a sudden, you find out where you're going. Like, son of a, took the wrong turn 5 hours ago, right? But now you know where you're going. It may take you longer to get there, right? But now you know what to do. There might be a shortcut this way. There might be one thing cool that my brother told me. Don't worry about getting lost. All roads are connected. I'm like, okay,
There you
okay,
go.
yes.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all roads are connected. So
Yeah.
it might not be the path that you were gonna do that was gonna be the fastest route there. You got caught up in life, traffic, accidents, this, that, something happened along the way. And a lot of times you just dazed out and veered off.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just had an epiphany right there. All roads are connected. You just killed me with that.
Insane, right?
Yeah. You
All
just
roads are
killed me with
connected.
that one. Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because we do get lost. It's okay to double back and start on the road again. You're learning something along the way. You're seeing new things along the way.
right,
But all these
right,
roads are connected. You will find your
right,
destination if you know where your destination is. Where are
right,
you going?
right. You
Where,
could take
what's
the
your,
you could take the 24-hour route
yeah,
or the 5 hour
that's
route.
right.
I don't know what you're gonna take. I don't
That's right.
know. That's your jam. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Right.
And so all these things, this is what I try to get people to learn, right? It's easier to learn when you once you know that. It's like now whenever you feel lost, you're not gonna go, yo, I feel lost. You know the question. You know the question.
That's right.
You got to ask yourself because no one's
Where am
gonna
I
ask it for you.
going? Where am I
You know?
going? Where do I want to end up?
Yeah,
What's my destination?
right. So when career wise,
Yeah.
father wise, man, I don't know who you trying to be. I
Right.
don't know. I can't help you yet until you tell me what that is. I can't help you because I don't know where you're going. So, but what gets you there is why you're going. So when you're in a car, if you just said like, "Oh, I'm going to Cali," I bet if there's accidents, this traffic, you're just like, flight's delayed or whatever it is. It's like, well, if there was a strong why, because your aunt is passing away and you need to get there, you think traffic's going to stop you? You think that flight? Come
Right.
on,
Right.
right? So that purpose, the why are you doing it, becomes very important. So now let's talk about purpose a little bit. Um, you do not find your purpose. That's what gets everyone even more lost because they think they have to find it. So they're going, where is my purpose? I don't know where I put it. Yeah, because you have to create your purpose. You do not find your purpose. You have to create it. Just like for any business, you create a mission for that business. You don't just go a business and all of a sudden it just comes with a mission to it and you found the business. You don't find a business, dude. You create it. So
How do you create your purpose?
yeah, so that's the important part, right? How
Yeah.
the hell do you create it? Number one, there's two major characteristics, at least from what I've found, that'll just help people. Number one, a true purpose, just like a business mission, it has to provide value and benefit other people, not yourself. That's very important. Number two, it must be a verb to inspire, to motivate, to help, to empower, to verb. It is not like we've talked about this. I always end up using rock star. My purpose is I want to be a rock star. I want to be the president. I want to be the noun, 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 noun. They're very finite. A perspective is something that should be, I'm sorry, a purpose is something that actually is infinite. It keeps on going. It doesn't stop there. It just keeps on going. So a major thing of like an example. So when you look at like different companies, for example, it really helps when you see these big companies like Airbnb, for example. Their mission is to help people belong.
Mm.
They didn't say we want to be the best rental platform because that's a noun, right? Like now what? You're the best. Airbnb, everyone knows Airbnb. Okay, great. Well, now what? How come they put experiences in there? All of a sudden there's Airbnb experiences on there. Like why would they put that in? It's because it helps people belong more. So when you have this mission, it helps guide you what you need to do. Same thing in your personal life. Because the question basically is you have to ask yourself, how would you like to help certain people? So that's the two benefit, right? For example, as a kid, I want to help people. I don't know, when you're starting a business, like I want to help old people bring their groceries in or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why should we help these certain people? So I already use it, but to help, to empower the adults to do this. So once you know that, it becomes a lot easier. So example, I always use Rockstar. So instead of saying Rockstar, you can say that my purpose is to help people listening to handle their own issues based on my lyrics on my songs. When does that stop, Marcos? When does it stop?
Never. People always have problems.
Right. And you're always trying to inspire. Does it matter if you have 5 people in a crowd or 10,000 when you do that?
No, doesn't matter. Those 5 people have,
Same thing with the Marcos doing with this podcast. He didn't say he wanted to be the bestest. What he does is he puts out there information that will hopefully help someone. So that's what his mission is. It doesn't matter if 2 of you are listening in or there's 10,000 of you listening in. It's going to be the same mission when it's 10,000.
Absolutely.
So that's what people need to understand. And what that does is Marcos now doesn't measure shit. That doesn't make sense. How many followers? How many this? How many? He's just concerned about, yo, did I inspire someone? I need to change that. I think I said the wrong thing. Maybe if I do this, that'll inspire people more. Oh, maybe if I do this, it'll attract more people. all the things, the money, all that stuff become the byproduct of the things that you do because of your purpose. That's the
Absolutely.
main thing. But now he's not looking at how many followers. So what do people do? Again, this sense of purpose is something you can internalize for you. Not right now, we're just talking about his business.
Right.
But for yourself, what's your purpose? Then you stop looking at how many followers. You stop looking at what people are doing because you're just concerned about how you're benefiting other people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm
You,
going to take it a step further too. And I think a lot of people who've listened to my podcast know this is what my acting teacher said the first day of college. She said it. She said, if you're here to be famous, it probably won't happen. Maybe
nice.
one or two of you will be. But if you're here to do good work, stay in this class. And I can
That's
tell
awesome.
you, one person out of our class became famous, and there are probably only about three of us who are still acting.
Wow. Yeah.
So to do good work is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I accept projects, I accept work to do good work. If the
And
project
here's what
doesn't
it does
resonate with
too.
me, then I'm not doing it. I'm just at
Mhm.
that point in my career.
And this is what happens too. When you have a mission, when you say a noun, now you have to be that specific thing because it's very specific. A noun is that's it, right?
Right.
When you have a mission. When Marco says, I want to inspire people, doesn't just mean acting. He can now pivot just like a business that knows their mission. He pivots. Podcast inspires.
Absolutely.
Podcast allows me to still get into character
Hmm.
when necessary. I'm still performing. I'm putting all the audio, making sure the lighting, that's gonna happen along the way. The more he does, the better it gets. These are all part of his mission. How else can I do this? And so that's what purpose does. It allows you to pivot, but it's the same exact freaking mission. During the pandemic, I was trying to do something to help people with influencer marketing and all that stuff, right? And if you didn't have a mission, all of a sudden the pandemic hits. Oh, can't do that now.
Right.
Like, okay, well, it's because you don't have a mission. It could have pivoted. You could have gone on Zoom to inspire people. You could have done other stuff. Most of it was going to be online. But if you didn't have that purpose, you're like, well, there it goes. Like, oh, well, it's because you didn't know your mission, you
Right.
know? So it really helps you adjust big time.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, it's very just a future mindset thing and versus the past and the present. Um, you know, time becomes irrelevant because it's infinite. It's in the future. It never stops. And that's what
Right.
keeps you going.
Keep, and it keeps going. Yeah.
That's
I
what
want
gives you
to,
perseverance, you know?
I kind of want to sidestep just a little bit because I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the here in New York, we're spending money to help people with mental health issues.
Okay.
I'm just curious what you think about that whole situation. I know the governor, has allocated a lot of funds to help people with mental health issues.
Okay.
Do you think that what you're doing, and I don't want to say better, but could
Mhm.
work alongside with that, or even could be possibly a new solution for the way that people are being treated now?
Yeah. So again, it depends what they're doing.
Hmm.
Right now, they're not looking at prevention. They're looking at prevention of suicide, which is
Hmm.
the very, very end, right? But they're not doing prevention of even getting mental health issues, right? Um, Again, it's the way we're feeding people. So if they're paying a lot of money to tell people that the problem is depression, well, you made more, you have worse problems.
Right.
Because now you had someone that wasn't that bad, but now said, oh shit, I have
I have depression.
depression.
Yeah.
Man, I got depression in me. I didn't know that. And that's what they think. Or alcoholics. Oh man, alcohol's the problem. Well, alcohol's the problem. We all got a lot of
So
problems.
this is, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off. And we
Yeah,
talked about this earlier, and I'm sad that people miss our conversation because it's a great conversation, as is this.
yeah,
But
yeah.
part of it is the labeling that goes along with it, the
Hmm.
actual words that you're using
Hmm.
that gives people the connotation of
Yeah.
certain things. So you're an
Yep.
alcoholic, you have depression, you have mental illness.
Yep.
When those words stigmatize.
Yep.
This, I trust me, this is coffee. This is
Yeah.
Um, but it stigmatizes how we feel in our perspective once again
Yeah.
of
So
how we see things and do
it,
things.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Not totally, totally agree. And that sucks. And even with the stigma, right? They
Hmm.
use stigma in the wrong way. Sometimes I go like, yo, ain't nothing wrong with stigma. Like, you're not supposed to feel good about it.
Hmm.
But what we keep doing is like, how do we make them feel better about this?
Right.
Let's say it's mental illness. Ah, man, why'd you do that? Damn. Because now people walking around, oh no, it's not me, it's mental illness. So let me get this straight. I'm not allowed to get freaked out because
Hmm.
the stigma with mental illness. That was never said. I don't know how old you are. That mental illness wasn't there when I was growing up, and not many people had it. I don't know why. All of a sudden, people have it today. But anyway,
Right.
people said mental illness because there's stigma. You just added even more because now you're saying, wait. Marcos can't do anything about this? Yo, Marcos, about you babysitting my kids,
Right. Yeah.
um, I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna
Right.
have to say no because it's out of your control, and I just cannot have you babysitting or working for me or basically being around me because you have the potential to probably most likely hurt me. So
Right.
I'm not gonna do it. Did that help people, you think? Saying it's not their fault, that they can't do anything about it, that they're not accountable, so they can kill anyone. It's like, oh, well, me. It's because, my brain.
Right.
Like, come on. That's not good. There are some people, but it's very minute. You can't say everybody. You can't do a blanket conversation on that. You can't say everyone is because of this. And, people even used another tactic that they used. Oh, Marcos, it ain't you. Figured it out. Chemical imbalance.
Right.
Man, what a good excuse. Woo! Got a good one. Use that one. Everyone walking around like, yo, it's chemical imbalance. Chemical imbalance. It's like, all right, let's talk about the imbalance real quick, real quick. Talk about the imbalance. Is that the result or the cause? Because from everything
Mm.
I've learned, it's your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system that causes cortisol for the fight or flight response. And because of, again, the key word on that, what I just said was a response. Or is it the way your perspective is on things? So we need to figure that out because every time you think, just as soon as I tell Marcos about the end of the world, this, that, cortisol kicks in like this.
Right. Yeah.
Because when we were younger, and most people know about the fight or flight response nowadays, right?
Hmm.
But what people don't understand, like how much it harms you physically too. It actually gives you the cancer or, provokes it and all these issues. So again, that's the chemical imbalance. Balance is this, right? If
Right.
it's going like this, well, how do we balance then? Yeah, think about that. So it's like your mental diet, right? Because now you really have to figure out, like, well, what's causing this? Well, from what I know, it's because you don't have enough inspiration. You're talking about all the trauma. Yo, this is what happened to me when I was 5, Marcos. Oh, and then when I was 10. Oh, and then this. Oh, and then yesterday. And it's okay. Is there anything you're gonna think about that's good or nah? You're just gonna purposely just leave that out, just on purpose, just to be right. Okay, nothing I can do about that
Right.
until you change your perspective. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. So the conversations I have with you, the things that I'm saying, I'm not saying this should fix you. But what I'm saying is, I hope I change your perspective a little bit because now when you can make that decision, that's when it starts. And that's where I'm trying to get you to. Uh, Anyone that wants to argue with me is going to be weird. I'm just telling you to make a decision.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not telling you anything else that I can cure you. I'm just telling you, like, yo, if you want out, this is how it starts. Like the way people talk nowadays, it's like, imagine Marcos going up to me and saying, like, yo, how do I become a successful millionaire? This, that. And then I go, like, oh, this is what you do. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, but Ricardo, I don't got those kind of connections. Oh, then bam, bam, bam. Yeah, but Ricardo, I don't really have that kind of money too. I didn't come from that. Oh, then bam. Yo, but you're never gonna be a millionaire.
Right.
Nope, not gonna be a millionaire. Like, let's just stop the conversation because all you're telling me is how to stay poor. Like, you want me to tell you about how poor people are because that like gets you excited. Like, oh, other people are poor as me. Yeah, Yeah. Like I want to stand. That's what makes people feel better. Like, oh, as long as other people are poor too. As long as other people poor too.
Right.
But because the hard work, people don't want to do it. They don't want to be accountable. It's too hard. Well, who said it's easy? You think people are permanently happy? That's what's weird. So people that don't have depression, you think they're just happy? That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Never gonna get depressed. That's people's mindset today. If someone ever gets depressed, oh, you got depression too?
Yeah.
Ah, oh, so it's bad. And all these things that we're teaching, like even with addiction, it's the drugs. No, it's not the drugs. Your upbringing sucked though. Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Even if you're on the road to recovery and you're faced with that decision of things feeling heavy and I'm just going to take this drink anyway, at that point, you have a decision to make.
yeah.
Do you want to take your life back down that pathway
Yep.
or do you want
Oh,
to continue on? It may be hard,
path. There's the path. I love
right?
the Glad
Where
you
are you
used the
trying to
word
get
path.
to?
Right.
Where are you trying to get to?
Yeah.
Is this drink going to set me back? Do I want to do this? I don't.
Yep.
I don't.
So I'll tell now that my man over here talked about path. I love it.
Uh-huh.
I told you this story before. I'm just going to tell your audience so people stand better instead of just facts, facts, facts. I was snowboarding. Oh, I was supposed to go snowboarding today, but anyway, I was snowboarding, right? I was in J Peak, in the glades. Glades meaning like the trees. So the trees where I was going, they're like 10 feet apart, so very, it's very narrow. When I would go down, I went through with my friends, right? Never really, this is when I started a while ago. I would go one, two, three, and all of a sudden, tree. I'm like, almost hit that one. It's a pain in the butt getting out because it's deep in there. I'm like, oh man, get up again, sweating. Get up again. One, two, three, tree. What the damn? I keep doing this, and every time it's just one, two, three, and then I'm almost always gonna hit a tree every time. My friends though, cruising, cruising, jumping, and I'm like, man, not only are you like not hitting, like they're cruising. Finally, when I fell, this guy sprays me, right? Like, and he's like, "Yeah, you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, could have gone without that, but." He told I go like, dude, how do you do this? Like these guys they were snowboarding for 15 years. I'm like, it's got to give me a good tip. Good
Right.
tip. He goes, dude, stop looking at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. And then he just goes. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
like that,
That's
that was your
right.
tip.
That's
Not freaking
right.
angle it this way, not nothing, not hop a little bit, nothing. Just that I had no choice. There's no other way to get out of the glades unless I cruise through, right?
And why is that? Why look at the path?
Yeah. So here's what happens is this. So when I went, I'm like, all right, don't look at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. I started going. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I was like purposely stopped. And I went, whoa. It was mind blowing. And I went, what the fuck? That's it? No. So I tell people, did I get better in 5 seconds? Nope. The trees didn't move, weather didn't change, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was my perspective. That is
That's
it.
right.
I stayed on the path. The trees become almost non-existent because you're focused on it. What you look at, you actually end up going to. When race cars, when they tell you, do you spin out? They tell you, don't look at the wall or else that's where you're going to go. When you're in driving
Hmm.
and you're trying to prevent an accident, don't look at the car not to hit him. Look at the path that's open. That's what's going to get you out of that accident. So
Mm.
again, just to put it metaphorically, with people with addiction, with let's say alcohol, when you what you're doing is they keep looking at them as trees. Oh, alcohol, ooh, alcohol, and then boom, alcohol. Son of a damn it, right? But when you're looking at the path, the alcohol almost disappears. Same thing with girls that are like, oh, trying to prevent or trying to not look for that same kind of asshole anymore,
Right.
Boom, boom, and you got another one because you're trying to avoid rather than looking at your path that'll just automatically get you there. When you have a path that, again, destination somewhere there,
Right.
you're trying to be. It's not about your past. when you said before, what did you say? But the key word would be identity. They create this identity of themselves based on these labels that you were saying before.
Right. Yes.
But your identity is actually based on who you're trying to be, not who you were.
Right.
You could be a porn star back in the day, and all of a sudden you're a mom and want to be a freaking business owner. And if that's the path you want, guess who are you going to be?
That's right. That's
And
right.
you're not going to get treated the same. But people identify themselves like, oh, I was a porn star. I'm a porn star. I'm a porn star forever, forever now.
Right.
Done. And that's what gets people. When people get really messed up, it's because they cannot change the blueprint of their life. Because
Yes.
especially that's why when good-looking people that are, when high school they were supposed to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the best, because what they're doing is like the blueprint I saw was I'm gonna succeed. Look how many girls I'm getting. Like,
Right.
look how popular I am. I'm killing it. And all of a sudden you don't get it. So it's because you're not changing your blueprint. It didn't happen that way. You slacked off. You hung out with too many girls. Like
Right.
you
That's it.
messed up.
Yeah.
Accountable. You were accountable for all your decisions. But now make a decision. I don't know where you at, but obviously that wasn't the right path. Like, I don't know which road you're going to take next, but you need to make a decision where you're going to go now. But it's about the future.
That's
Our
right.
our feelings are about the future. You're not happy about what's happening today. If I give you $1 million today, it's not because just today, it's because I'm good for the future. Same thing with depression.
Right.
During COVID, you're just chilling in your house. What you got to worry about? Why are you scared? What are you getting all anxious for? You're chilling in the house. But it's because, yeah, but what's gonna
What's going
happen?
to happen? Yeah. What's going to happen after this is over?
Anxiety. Did you
Right.
ever see that movie with Will Smith? It was like a futuristic movie. He talked about fear. Oh, it was so good.
Can't think of what it is.
Um, it was him with his son. But anyway,
Oh, yeah.
and he talked about fear. And
Yeah.
basically he said on there, fear does not exist. It is something in your mind. It's almost insanity
Absolutely.
because it's something that may or may never happen, but you're freaking the fuck out today.
Right.
And you don't even know if it's going to happen.
And we put it on ourselves.
Right. And that's all fear is. It
Yep.
does not exist.
It does
It is
not
a
exist.
figment of your imagination. You're borderline insane. That's what he says in there. And I'm like, damn,
Yep.
that was good. That was such a great explanation. But it's the same thing for everything else as well. Same thing with happiness. People aren't happy. People are happy because of the future. For example, you see a waiter, right? Waiting on you. You're in the acting thing, right? You
Hmm.
got the people in Cali, they're waiters, but you don't know what they're going to be, right? But they're trying to be something else.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
don't want to identify themselves as a waiter. They're like, no, I'm trying to pursue my dream. But the thing is, it's better when you pursue your dream with a mission purpose. It doesn't have to be acting. It just happens to be what you know right now. But it could be something else. You might go into YouTube, do your own thing. Why rely on someone else's decision to do that? Inspire people or do something already with your acting skills on YouTube.
Believe me, yeah, do it simultaneously. If
Yeah,
you're good at waiting
right,
tables and you're making money, that's fine.
right.
You're also a YouTuber. You're
Yeah.
also this.
And same thing, like even to make it less, because that's even riskier. So it's very difficult it's a
Hmm.
emotional freaking roller coaster attempting. Same thing with a startup is how I can compare going for an acting career. Like it's hard, it's difficult, it's
Very difficult.
perseverance, like a crazy self-talk. Like, I mean, a lot of those things. But let's just go something even easier that people can understand because it's very just step by step, and almost guaranteed success is, let's say, a waiter or waitress, right? You see him there, but if they tell you like, oh, I'm a pre-med student, do you think she is unhappy wiping tables? Think she's miserable with her life? Because she knows she's not stuck there.
She's not
That's why
stuck
she's
there. Yeah.
not. But
Yeah.
she's doing the same exact thing this lady's doing, but this one's depressed. How come? Because she thinks that's it. That's her end game. That's her life. She thinks that's everything's based on the past and who you are today. But no, it's who you're trying to be. It'll end that way. When we people pass away, people get all sad. You haven't even talked in 15 years. But you sad today? You're sad today. Why? Because there's no more future opportunity to hang out with that dude or that person.
Right.
There's that bond is gone. You feel like, who's going to prove our experiences now? Like me and my boy used to do this. I have no proof. Now it feels like it didn't happen. Right? Because things feel like it happens more when you share it. So all of a sudden, the one you shared it with, the experiences, the talks, gone. No more proof. It's almost like it never happened. So almost a piece of you disappears. But it's because the future no longer allows you to experience that. So you get really sad, until you accept things. So that's when it starts to change. So, these types of perspectives on your life is what needs to hit people. And that's what I try to hit them with. Because people have this like, live life to the fullest. You got live life to the fullest all wrong. Like, what do you think it is? You have to be happy? Nope. No. The most fulfilling lives, it's not because a rich dude became richer and then richer and rich. We all know suicidal rich people. Why does that happen? You have to ask these questions.
What's your mission? What's your destination? Where are you going? What's your purpose? All these important questions you have to ask, and doing it along the way. And the kicker is that the future is now.
And it doesn't have to be now. The decision,
right. The decision
is now.
About the future is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
The decision is now. So when people talk about past, present, future, because again, with those wrong information people are being fed, Marcos, you have to live in the present. That's how you live. You know how many people got in trouble doing that?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Because they're being fed this.
Absolutely.
The reason it's such a good time in the present is because you don't give a fuck what happens in the future.
YOLO. Yeah. But you do have to care about the future. You do have to put a little bit away. I just said this 2 days ago. Be fully present, but also you got to put a little something away, whether that's in your mind or your intention for the future.
Right.
We may not have tomorrow, but we may.
Yeah. This is what I tell people.
Yeah.
It's all about the future version of you.
Right.
That future version of you, I'm going to assume that dude is happy too. What would this version today, what would you do to get that version? He's going to stop and smell the flowers.
That's right.
He's going to take the time to spend with the family. Automatic, because if that's the kind of person you want to be, do you think you're not going to do those things today? So don't live in the present. It doesn't hurt. It's a full package. You can't just live in one way. It all comes together like harmoniously. The future is meant to guide you. The past is meant for you to learn from. The present is where you execute. That's how it all works together.
I'm done. I'm so done today. Listen, Ricardo, what do you have coming up in the future? And tell us how we can get in touch with you. I gotta let you go. I could talk to you all day. I'm absolutely blown away by you.
Yeah, thanks. So, you can reach me at startday1.org. Our handles are there. Recently, I haven't been busy because I've been working on a different project dealing with the tech startup, metaverse, things like that. So, but 2024, I told myself like, all right, we gotta get back and helping people here because I see a lot of turmoil happening out there, and it's that purpose that drives me, right? It's time to get back and start talking to people. So startday1.org. You'll find me there. You find all the handles. You'll get in touch with me somehow.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Please come back anytime. You have really enlightened me and enlightened everybody that's listening. Everybody, please make sure you follow him. His name is Ricardo Zuluete Jr. You can find him with the new startup nonprofit organization called startday1.org. As he said, all the handles are the same. You can find him on Twitter, Instagram, and join his Facebook community. Make sure you like his page. My name is Marcos Luis. Thank you guys all for joining me for this episode. Please live chat. We're going to start a new live, thanks to Ricardo, coming up soon. Man, I feel like you've been my best friend for years. I'm out of my mind right now. So please make sure you DM me if you have any questions. You can find the show at OneMicNite. OneMicNite is spelled OneMicNite. S5Ep. Follow us on all social media. Go to the .com. All the handles are there. Thank you for joining me. This is OneMicNite. I'm Marco Luis. We'll see you next time. Bye.